Do you begin to see a process that's going on here? But the IUCN also created, in the 1980s, an organization or a brand new science called conservation biology. Conservation biology holds that nature knows best. Anything that man does is disruptive of what nature would normally do and therefore is undesirable. And out of the leadership of conservation biology and the IUCN came a program called the Wildlands Project, which was central to the treaty, the Convention on Desertification, the Convention on Biological Diversity, and so forth, which they tried to get in place through the U.S. Senate by ratification of the Convention on Biological Diversity, and as we saw the same map presented by Michael Shaw. What we did is, I had been drawing this map for about 2 years, knowing that this is what their ultimate objective was. And when the treaty came up for ratification in the United States Senate, we sent this along with a condemning global biodiversity assessment, and the treaty was stopped dead in its tracks. But the red area, as we've heard described before, are those areas that mankind is basically not allowed to enter, other than perhaps visit for a day and then retreat. The interconnecting corridors allow wildlife, the wolves and the bears and so forth, to have free roam from Mexico to Alaska. The yellow areas are very highly regulated areas that are protecting the core attributes of those red areas. And the little bit of light green that you see in this is where you have normal human activity, where smart growth is applied. Now, if you have any questions, it's about the role of our federal agencies in changing existing regulatory structures and federal law. This EPA internal working document published on August 6, 1993. Now, this is a document that was published 1 month after President Clinton had signed the Convention on Biological Diversity. It had not yet even been sent to the United States Senate for ratification. And it says, natural resources and environmental agencies should develop a joint strategy to help the United States fulfill its existing international obligations, the Convention on Biological Diversity and Agenda 21. President Bush refused to sign the Convention on Biological Diversity because it had not even been written. It was merely an outline of a treaty. When Bill Clinton became president, he signed it during the first year of his presidency, just a month before this document was released. It had not yet been ratified, and yet the United States Environmental Protection Agency was already calling it an existing international obligation. Agenda 21 is a document that President Bush had signed, so it was in effect. It goes on, this quote goes on to say that the executive branch should direct federal agencies to evaluate national policies in light of international policies and obligations, and to amend national policies to achieve international objectives. Now just think about this for a moment. This is the Environmental Protection Agency basically saying that their primary purpose is to achieve international objectives regardless of what is best for the people and the citizens of the United States. Not only that, but if our Constitution basically says that all policy making is to be done by the Congress of the United States, and in this document you see very clearly that these federal bureaucrats have taken on the responsibility for themselves of making United States policy, totally bypassing Congress and the elected government of the United States. If you think about that for a moment, it has unbelievable implications. Agenda 21, as we heard in our last discussion, is a 40-chapter document that was established and signed into existence in the Rio de Janeiro Earth Summit in 1992. It's a 40-chapter document to basically control the world. It's based entirely on socialist control mechanisms. Using this as an example, Chapter 7, Promoting Sustainable Human Settlements. In Chapter 7.1, it says that in industrial countries, the consumption patterns of cities are severely stressing the global ecosystems. Therefore, the activities of people within cities must be controlled. In 7.5, it says the program areas included in this chapter are improving human settlement management, i.e. smart growth. And in a subparagraph, 7.16, it says adopting and applying urban management guidelines is to be done in the areas of land management, urban environmental management, infrastructure management, and municipal finance and administration. In other words, the total urban-rural interface. In C, it says to promote sustainable land use planning and management. Subsection 7.3a, establish as appropriate national legislation to guide the implementation of public policies for environmentally sound urban development, land use, utilization, housing, and for the improved management of the urban expansion. Just think about that last line, the improved management of urban expansion. In other words, control of everything, all development within urban boundaries. But it does sound wonderful to the undiscriminating, the very shallow thinkers of this country. This sounds like it's a great idea. Why haven't we thought of it before? The actual origins of smart growth came out of the United Nations Agenda 21 with the concept of sustainable development, with the President's Council on Sustainable Development, and a document called Towards a Sustainable America that was published in 1999. And in this document, it's divided into three primary areas: climate change, environmental management, which covers a host of things, and, as we're going to talk about in the next few minutes, sustainable communities. Sustainable communities, according to the President's Council on Sustainable Development, in policy recommendation number 6, it says design new communities and improve existing ones to use land and infrastructure efficiently, promote mixed use and retain public open space, and provide diverse transportation options to integrate the places in which people live and work with the natural environment. In policy recommendation number 7, reduce sprawl and promote smarter geographical growth of existing communities. Does this sound familiar? And the siting of new ones to enhance economic opportunities and to meet future needs while conserving open space and respecting the carrying capacity of the natural environment. Again, to the non-discriminating mind, this sounds wonderful. To have economic development control so that it benefits everyone. The trouble is, it doesn't work that way. Policy recommendation number 7, reduce sprawl and promote smarter geographic growth in existing communities and the siting of opportunity and meet future needs while conserving open space and the respecting and the carrying out capacity of the natural environment. Action number 1, the federal government should redirect federal policy. This is not Congress now. This is the federal bureaucrats. Redirect federal policies that encourage low-density sprawl. In other words, get rid of anything that encourages low-density sprawl to foster investments in existing communities. For example, it should encourage shifts in transportation spending towards transit, highway maintenance, and repair.